Hey there, English learners. Welcome back to Mr. English Daily, your favorite place to grow your English through real, relaxed conversation. I'm Luna.
And I'm Leo. And before we even say hello properly, I have already managed to say something that Luna disagrees with.
Strongly disagrees with.
Noted, very strongly.
Because you basically said that a beautiful person can become completely unattractive in about 10 seconds flat, just by opening their mouth without confidence.
And I stand by it completely.
You said it like it was a scientific discovery.
It feels like one.
Leo, you still spend 3 full minutes reading a coffee shop menu every single time, like it might change your life.
That is a completely separate issue.
Is it, though? We're talking about confidence today. I am bringing real evidence.
Fine, fair. Painful, but fair.
Welcome to Mr. English Daily, everyone.
Okay, but honestly, today's question is one I think about a lot. Is confidence more attractive than beauty?
And before anyone rolls their eyes, we are not saying beauty doesn't matter. Of course it does.
Right. Nobody's pretending that people don't notice a beautiful face. That first reaction is completely human.
People notice beauty fast, sometimes in 1 second. That first glance has real power.
Absolutely. But what happens after that first second? That's where things get genuinely interesting.
Because sometimes someone looks incredible, and then the moment they start speaking or the way they hold themselves feels awkward, cold, or uncomfortable, the whole impression just shifts.
And it can shift fast.
One strange sentence, one uncomfortable silence. The feeling changes completely.
But then the opposite happens too, which I think is actually the more powerful thing. Someone walks in, not the most striking person in the room, but they speak with ease. They seem settled. They make people around them feel comfortable. And suddenly, they're the one everyone keeps thinking about.
Yes, and that's why this conversation is really about something much bigger than just beauty. It's about presence. It's about energy. It's about the feeling someone creates when they're around you.
Exactly, because real confidence isn't always loud or dramatic. A lot of the time, it's quieter than people expect. It's in the posture, the eye contact, the way someone seems completely unbothered by whether the room is impressed or not.
That was a very good sentence, Leo.
I prepared one intelligent sentence before recording.
Just the one?
Let's not be greedy.
All right. So today's question, is confidence more attractive than beauty? Sounds simple, but it says a lot about people when you really dig into it.
We're asking what holds attention after the first impression is over.
What makes someone memorable?
What makes someone magnetic?
And also, what makes someone completely ruin it in one conversation?
Also important, very important.
So please tell us in the comments and be honest. In real life, what feels more attractive to you? Pure beauty, pure confidence, or some combination of both?
And no hiding behind "it depends" because that answer has escaped too many conversations already.
We want commitment today, people.
Also, this is a B1 to B2 level episode, so you'll hear natural opinions, slightly longer ideas, and really useful vocabulary around confidence, attraction, and first impressions.
But don't stress if you miss a word here and there. You don't need to catch everything. Just follow the meaning, follow the feeling. Let the English come to you.
And later, we have our word tour, where we slow down and walk through the most useful words and phrases from today's episode.
So by the end, you'll have much better language than just saying, I don't know, they just have something about them.
Even though that sentence is still doing serious work in real life.
It really is. Okay, let's get into it. Leo, let's start simple. In real attraction, what lasts longer, in your opinion, beauty or confidence?
Honestly, beauty gets attention faster, but confidence lasts longer. Beauty can make someone look at you in a second, but confidence is what makes people keep looking without even realizing they're still looking.
That feels really true, because beauty can absolutely turn heads.
Right, and when we say something turns heads, we mean it gets immediate attention. People notice it straight away.
And let's be honest, that's real. We're human. We notice a beautiful face, we notice style, we notice someone who looks polished and put together.
Yes, and I think sometimes people try too hard to sound deep, like, oh, looks don't matter at all, but they do matter. That first glance has genuine power.
A strong first impression can absolutely win a moment.
But it cannot carry a whole conversation.
No, at some point the face needs help from the personality.
Exactly. And that's where things become genuinely fascinating. Because after that first glance, attraction starts changing shape.
It becomes less about what you're looking at and more about what you're feeling around that person.
Which brings us to something I think matters even more after those first few seconds, and that's presence.
Right, and presence is the feeling or impact someone creates when they're around you. It's not only about how they look, it's about what it feels like to be near them.
And that's why two people can be equally beautiful, but one stays in your mind for days, and the other disappears almost immediately.
One catches your eye, the other stays in your memory.
I actually have a story about this. A couple of years ago, I was at a friend's wedding. There was a woman there, genuinely, strikingly beautiful. The kind of person half the room noticed the moment she walked in.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect outfit, perfect hair, very polished, very graceful. Almost cinematic, honestly.
Cinematic beauty.
Exactly. But later I spoke with her briefly, and the whole feeling just faded. Not because she was rude or unpleasant, it was just flat. You know that feeling, when someone looks like a painting, but the conversation feels like dry bread?
Dry bread is such a brutal description.
But you understand me.
Beautiful face, dry bread energy. I understand completely.
Beautiful face, dry bread energy. I understand completely. Later, that same evening, I met someone else. Not as immediately striking, lovely, yes, but not in that dramatic movie scene way. But the moment she started talking, the whole room changed around her. She laughed easily, she actually listened. She made people feel genuinely noticed, and she became the person everyone kept drifting back toward.
That is such a perfect example.
Because beauty can open the door, but it doesn't always know how to stay in the room. Confidence does.
And honestly, English learners, this connects to you too, because sometimes learners believe their English needs to sound flawless to make a good impression.
But what people actually remember is not perfection. It's calmness, it's willingness. It's the confidence to stay in the conversation even when it's imperfect.
Yes, one wrong tense rarely destroys a conversation. Pure panic destroys it much faster.
So, truth number one, beauty may win the first few seconds, but confidence very often wins everything that comes after.
And once we say that, the next question becomes, what does confidence actually look like when it's real?
Because a lot of confidence is visible before it's verbal.
Right. You often notice it before someone has said a single important word. You see it in the way they stand, the way they pause, the way they look at people without rushing or shrinking.
You see it in whether they seem comfortable being seen.
And that calm, grounded quality, that's what people often call poise.
Right. Poise means calm, controlled confidence. It's not dramatic, it's not noisy. It just feels steady and balanced.
And poise is genuinely attractive because it feels like still water. It doesn't need to splash around to prove it exists.
Leo, that was beautiful.
Okay, I'm impressed.
Don't tell anyone.
But it's true. Real confidence is often quieter than people expect. It's not always the loudest person. Sometimes it's the most grounded person.
And when someone seems naturally settled and balanced, people often say they carry themselves well.
Right. And to carry yourself well means to present yourself with confidence through your posture, your movement, and the way you speak.
I noticed that once in a coffee shop, which, yes, I visited many times, and yes, I read the menu carefully every time.
Every single time.
But there was this man standing in line. Very simple clothes, nothing flashy, but he was so calm. He spoke slowly, he smiled at the person behind the counter like he had absolutely nowhere else to be. And somehow, he stood out more than the most stylish person in that room.
Because he looked completely at ease in himself, not trying to impress anyone, just settled.
And that calmness made everyone around him feel slightly less rushed too.
Confidence can do that. It can lower the emotional temperature of an entire room.
Which is extremely useful in modern life, because most people already look like they are late for 3 things and stressed about 4 more.
Very true. And for English learners, even when your vocabulary is still simple, your body language is already speaking. If you keep eye contact, breathe, smile a little, and don't collapse into apology, people experience you completely differently.
Your English can be perfectly fine while your shoulders are giving a completely separate speech that says, "Please forgive me for existing."
Oh no, too real.
You know it's true.
Okay, but here's the emotional layer underneath all of this. Because beauty can impress people and still lose its power if insecurity starts showing through.
Yes, and this is where the topic becomes a little more tender.
Someone can be genuinely beautiful and still not feel safe inside themselves.
Exactly. And when someone does feel secure in who they are, when they're not constantly looking for outside approval, we say they are self-assured.
Right. Self-assured means secure in yourself. You trust who you are, you don't need constant reassurance to feel okay.
And that kind of energy is deeply attractive because it feels peaceful. There's something genuinely beautiful about a person who isn't fighting themselves every moment.
Not fighting themselves. That's such a good way to say it.
Meanwhile, someone can look amazing and still feel deeply insecure.
And insecure means not feeling stable or confident in yourself, doubting yourself, needing constant reassurance, feeling like you're never quite enough.
People can feel that energy even when they can't explain it. The beauty is visible, but something underneath feels tight, guarded, almost apologetic.
I knew someone like that once. She was genuinely stunning, the kind of person people would notice twice, but every compliment made her uncomfortable. Every room made her nervous. Every conversation felt like she was secretly bracing herself for rejection. And after a while, you stopped seeing the beauty first. You started feeling the sadness first.
Wow.
It stayed with me because I remember thinking beauty can decorate the outside, but it can't calm the inside. Only real self-acceptance can do that.
And that's why confidence feels so hopeful, because beauty is something people often treat like a gift you either have or you don't, but confidence is something people can build.
And that matters so much for English learners, too. So many people think, I'll speak confidently once my English is perfect. But usually the opposite happens. Your English gets stronger because you allow yourself to speak before you feel fully ready.
Confidence doesn't arrive in a little gold box after lesson 3.
Sadly not.
Very rude of life, honestly.
Very rude. But it does grow. Slowly, quietly, through imperfect conversations, small risks, and those moments where you think, actually, I handled that a bit better than last time.
And that's when confidence becomes beautiful in its own way, because it has been built. It has cost something. It has a story inside it.
Which brings us to something really important, because once people hear all of this, sometimes they get nervous and think, but what if confidence tips over into arrogance?
And those two things are absolutely not the same.
Not even close. A confident person usually makes people feel more comfortable. An arrogant person gives off something heavy.
Right, and to give off means to send out a certain feeling or impression. Confidence gives off calmness, warmth, and self-respect. Arrogance gives off tension, superiority, the feeling that someone is working very hard to prove something.
Real confidence doesn't need to push itself into the room. It's just there. It feels settled. Arrogance feels hungry.
That is a perfect line.
Thank you. Meanwhile, arrogance enters the room like it has already written its own award speech
And practiced it in the mirror
several times.
with dramatic lighting.
Exactly. But truly confident people often have quiet charisma.
Right, and charisma means a natural charm that draws people towards you.
And that charm isn't loudness or ego or performance. It's warmth, it's ease, it's humor. It's the feeling that someone is fully themselves and has nothing to prove.
The most charismatic people are often the ones who make other people feel more relaxed, not more intimidated.
And this matters for English learners. Some people hold back because they're afraid that speaking up will make them seem arrogant.
But speaking clearly is not arrogance. Participating is not arrogance. Taking your place in the conversation is not arrogance.
Arrogance is pretending you know everything. Confidence is simply saying, I belong here too.
Especially for anyone who starts every sentence with, "Sorry, my English is bad," even when their English is actually doing just fine.
Sometimes the apology is working harder than the English.
Painfully true.
Okay, so we've said confidence is real, confidence is quiet, confidence is buildable, and confidence is not arrogance. But I want to talk about the deepest part of this whole conversation now.
Which is,
How confidence changes the atmosphere around a person.
oh yes, this is the part that gets me.
Because some people don't just look attractive, they make the room feel lighter.
They make people breathe more easily, laugh more freely, talk more openly.
And sometimes that kind of person stands out without doing anything deliberate at all.
Right, and to stand out means to be noticeably different in a strong, positive way.
And the interesting thing is, they often stand out because their energy feels clear, warm, and genuinely settled.
I met someone like that once. Very simple clothes, very ordinary in terms of appearance, nothing dramatic at all. But within 10 minutes, everyone around them looked lighter. People were laughing more, talking more, relaxing more.
Because they weren't trying to impress anyone. They just had this calm, open way of being, and it made everyone else feel safe to be more open, too.
And that's why some people feel almost magnetic.
Right. And magnetic means so compelling and naturally attractive that people feel drawn towards you without quite knowing why.
And to me, that is where confidence genuinely becomes more powerful than appearance, because it changes comfort, it changes trust, it changes connection, all at the same time.
Beauty may catch the eye, but confidence changes the whole experience of being around someone.
It changes how long people want to stay, how deeply they want to listen, how safe they feel being honest around you.
And that's true in language learning, too. When you speak with a little more ease, a little more self-trust, people don't just hear your words differently, they feel differently around you.
They relax more. You relax more. The whole conversation becomes warmer and more human.
Which is lovely, because searching for vocabulary is already enough suffering for one conversation.
We don't need panic as a second language.
No, thank you. So, in the end, I think the answer becomes quite clear. Beauty matters, of course it does, but confidence reaches so much further.
If I had to answer this in one sentence, I'd say beauty may open the door, but confidence is what makes people want to stay.
That is a strong sentence.
I know, I'm very pleased with it.
You should be. A WORD tour. All right, let's slow things down. Time for our word tour, where we revisit the most useful words and phrases from today's episode. Listen first, then repeat with us.
First phrase, turn heads.
If something turns heads, it gets immediate attention. People notice it straight away.
She turned heads the moment she walked into the room. Or, beauty turns heads fast, but confidence leaves a deeper impression.
Repeat, turn heads.
Turn heads.
Next, presence.
Presence is a feeling or impact someone creates when they are around others. It's not only about appearance, it's about how it feels to be near them.
She has a warm presence that makes people feel comfortable. Or, real confidence gives a person stronger presence.
Repeat, presence.
Presence. Next, poise.
Poise means calm, controlled confidence. A person with poise seems balanced, steady, and unhurried.
She answered the difficult question with real poise. Or, poise can be more attractive than perfect looks.
Repeat, poise.
Poise. Next phrase, carry yourself well.
To carry yourself well means to present yourself with confidence through your posture, movement, and behavior.
He's not loud at all, but he carries himself really well. Or, people notice when someone carries themselves well.
Repeat, carry yourself well.
Carry yourself well. Next, self-assured.
If someone is self-assured, they feel secure in who they are. They trust themselves and don't need constant approval.
She sounded self-assured without sounding arrogant. Or, a self-assured person often becomes more attractive over time.
Repeat, self-assured.
Self-assured. Now the opposite, insecure.
If someone feels insecure, they don't feel stable or confident in themselves. They may doubt themselves or worry constantly about how others see them.
He looked confident at first, but later seemed quite insecure. Or, even beauty loses impact when insecurity becomes visible.
Repeat, insecure.
Insecure. Next phrasal verb, stand out.
To stand out means to be noticeably different from others in a positive, memorable way.
Her confidence helped her stand out in the interview. Or, in many situations, confidence makes a person stand out more than looks.
Repeat, stand out.
Stand out. Next, give off.
To give off means to send out a certain feeling, energy, or impression.
He gives off a calm and grounded energy. Or, arrogance gives off a very different feeling from real confidence.
Repeat, give off.
Give off. Next, charisma.
Charisma means a natural charm that attracts people and makes them genuinely interested in you.
She doesn't try hard, but she has real charisma. Or, charisma often comes from confidence, warmth, and ease.
Repeat, charisma.
Charisma. And finally, magnetic.
If someone is magnetic, they are so compelling and naturally attractive that people feel drawn to them.
There was something magnetic about the way she spoke. Or, confidence can make a person feel magnetic even without perfect looks.
Repeat, magnetic.
Magnetic.
And that is your word tour for today. Next time you talk about attraction, confidence, or first impressions, you'll have real, precise language to express yourself.
And more importantly, you'll understand these words instantly when you hear them in real conversations.
Because learning English isn't only about collecting vocabulary. It's about understanding how people think, how people feel, and how people truly connect.
And today's topic reminded us of that beautifully. Attraction isn't always about what shines first. Very often, it's about what feels real, steady, and human after the first impression fades.
Beauty may catch attention for a moment, but confidence leaves a deeper mark because it changes how people actually experience you.
And the best part, confidence isn't something only a lucky few are born with. It's something anyone can grow, slowly, quietly, as they become more comfortable in who they are.
Which means this wasn't just a conversation about attraction, it was a conversation about self-trust.
About becoming someone whose calmness, presence, and warmth already speak before a single perfect sentence arrives.
And honestly, that kind of confidence is beautiful in its own way.
It really is. All right, take care of your English.
And take care of yourself. I'm Leo.
I'm Luna.
And you've been listening to Mr. English Daily.
See you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.